The Great Chamber of Vethra Prime was the largest structure in the known galaxy. Its walls stretched so high that clouds formed near the ceiling. 12 massive thrones sat in a circle, each one holding the leader of a galactic empire. Together, these 12 empires controlled over 10,000 worlds and trillions of souls. Today, they had gathered to decide the fate of one small planet called Earth. Dr. Linda Foster stood alone in the center of the chamber. She was a small woman with gray hair and tired eyes. She wore the simple blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic service. Around her, alien beings of every shape and size watched with cold curiosity. Some had scales. Some had feathers. Some had no faces at all. But they all shared one thing in common. They all looked at her like she was an insect. "The human speaks," announced High Chancellor Zorvath from his throne. He was a Dravok, tall and thin with skin like black stone. His eyes glowed red in the dim light. "Tell us, little creature, why we should not take your world." Linda's heart was pounding, but her voice stayed steady. "High Chancellor, Earth seeks only peace. We have been traveling among the stars for 80 years. We are young. We are learning. We wish to trade with you, to share knowledge with you, to grow alongside you." Laughter echoed through the chamber. It was not kind laughter. "Trade?" said Zorvath. "What could your primitive world possibly offer us? Your technology is 1,000 years behind ours. Your weapons are toys. Your ships are slow and weak. We offer friendship," Linda said. "We offer cooperation. You offer nothing," Zorvath interrupted. "But your planet offers much. Rare minerals, clean water, fertile land, and 8 billion workers who could serve the great empires." Linda felt ice in her stomach. "You speak of slavery. I speak of integration," Zorvath said smoothly. "Your people would become part of something greater. You would serve the empires, and in return, you would be protected, fed, cared for." "Like cattle," Linda said. Zorvath smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "If you prefer that word." Linda looked around the chamber, searching for any sign of sympathy. Most of the alien leaders looked bored or amused. Only one seemed troubled. Ambassador Tylan of the Valari Collective was a tall being with silver skin and 4 gentle eyes. She sat quietly on her throne, watching Linda with something that might have been pity. "I call for a vote," Zorvath announced. "The integration decree. All those in favor of bringing Earth under the protection and service of the Galactic Conclave." One by one, the Empire leaders raised their hands or tentacles or other limbs. The Dravok Empire, the Korath Dominion, the Selvian Republic, the Mentari Hive. On and on it went. 11 empires voted yes. Only Ambassador Tylan did not move. "The Valari Collective abstains," she said quietly. Zorvath waved his hand dismissively. 11 votes in favor. The decree passes. He looked down at Linda with those burning red eyes. "You have 30 standard days to surrender your planet unconditionally. If you refuse, we will take it by force. Your people will still serve us, but the process will be less pleasant." Linda's hands were shaking, but she forced herself to stand tall. "And if we fight?" More laughter filled the chamber. "Fight?" Zorvath seemed genuinely amused. "Little human, our combined fleets number over 50,000 warships. Your entire defense force is perhaps 200 vessels. Your fight would last less than a day. Then it will be a memorable day," Linda said. The laughter stopped. Zorvath leaned forward on his throne, his red eyes narrowing. "You are either very brave or very foolish." "Perhaps both," Linda replied. "But I know my people. We do not surrender. We do not kneel. We never have, and we never will." Zorvath's smile returned, but it was colder now. "We shall see. 30 days, human. Enjoy them. Guards escorted Linda out of the chamber. As she walked through the massive doors, she passed Ambassador Tylan, who had risen from her throne. The silver-skinned alien leaned close and whispered, "I am sorry. I could not stop them." "Why did you abstain?" Linda asked. Tylan's 4 eyes looked sad. "Because I have studied your species, your history, your wars. I know what humans do when they are pushed into a corner." She paused. "The other empires think this will be easy. They are wrong. But I could not convince them. Then what should we do?" "Fight," Tylan said simply. "Fight with everything you have. Show them something they will never forget. It may not save your world, but it might save your souls." Linda nodded slowly. Then she walked out of the chamber and boarded her small transport ship. As soon as she was alone, she sent an encrypted message to Earth. It contained only 7 words. "They are coming. All of them. Prepare." 12 hours later, the message reached Admiral Kevin Marshall. He was a broad-shouldered man with gray hair and deep lines on his face. He had served Earth's defense force for 40 years. He had fought pirates and rebels, and even a few small alien conflicts. But nothing like this. He read the message 3 times. Then, he called his senior officers to the command center of Orbital Station 7, which floated in the darkness between Earth and Mars. "The Galactic Conclave has voted to enslave our planet," he told them. His voice was calm, almost casual. 11 empires. 50,000 warships. We have 30 days. The officers stared at him in stunned silence. "Sir," one of them finally said, "that is an impossible fight." "Yes," Marshall agreed. "It is. Then what do we do?" Marshall looked out the window at the distant blue dot of Earth. He thought about his children, his grandchildren, the billions of people down there who had no idea what was coming. "We fight anyway," he said quietly. "We fight because that is what humans do. We fight because surrender is not in our nature. We fight because even if we lose, our enemies will remember the cost." He turned back to his officers. "They think we are weak. They think we are primitive. They think we will kneel." He allowed himself a small, grim smile. "Let us show them what humans are made of." Far across the galaxy, High Chancellor Zorvath was already celebrating. He poured expensive wine and laughed with his generals about the easy conquest to come. He had no idea that he had just made the worst mistake of his life. The emergency meeting took place deep underground, in a bunker built to survive nuclear war. Leaders from every nation on Earth sat around a long table. Their faces were pale. Their hands were shaking. The news had spread fast, and panic was already growing in the streets above. General Patricia Vance stood at the head of the table. She was a tall woman with short black hair and eyes like steel. She had commanded soldiers in 3 wars and never lost a battle. But this was different. This was not a battle. This was extinction. "We have 29 days," she said. "The alien fleet is already moving toward our solar system. When they arrive, they will demand our surrender. If we refuse, they will attack." "Then perhaps we should surrender," said one of the politicians. He was a nervous man with sweaty hands. "If we fight, millions will die. Billions, perhaps. But if we surrender, at least we survive." "As slaves," General Vance replied. "Alive slaves are better than dead heroes." The room erupted in argument. Some agreed with the politician. Others shouted that surrender was cowardice. Admiral Marshall sat quietly, watching the chaos with tired eyes. Finally, he stood up. The room fell silent. "I understand the fear," he said. "I feel it too. But let me ask you something. How many times in human history have we faced impossible odds? How many times have we been told to surrender, to give up, to accept our fate?" No one answered. "We never did," Marshall continued. Not once. Not when we were outnumbered. Not when we were outgunned. Not when everyone said we would lose. That is who we are. That is what makes us human. He looked around the table, meeting every pair of eyes. If we surrender, we survive as cattle. Our children will be born into slavery. Our grandchildren will never know freedom. They will serve alien masters and forget what it means to be human. He paused. But if we fight, even if we lose, we die as ourselves. We die free. And maybe, just maybe, we show the galaxy that Earth is not a world to be taken lightly. The nervous politician spoke again. Pretty words, Admiral. But words do not stop warships. No, said a new voice. But weapons do. Everyone turned. A thin man with messy gray hair walked into the room. His name was Dr. Samuel Grant, and he was the lead scientist of Earth's most secret project. Project Prometheus, he said, placing a folder on the table. For 50 years, we have been studying every piece of alien technology we could find. Crashed ships, stolen parts, traded items. We have learned their secrets. He opened the folder and spread out blueprints and diagrams. Pulse cannons that can cut through their shields. Adaptive armor that learns from every hit. Stealth systems that make our ships invisible to their sensors. He smiled grimly. And something special. Something I call the Blackout Protocol. What does it do? General Vance asked. It releases an energy wave that disables every electronic system within range. Ships, weapons, communications. Everything goes dark. Everything stops. The room was silent for a long moment. Why did you not tell us about this before? One of the leaders demanded. Because it was not ready, Dr. Grant replied. And because we hoped we would never need it. But now we do. I can have the weapons installed on our ships within 2 weeks. The Blackout Protocol will take longer. I need someone to deliver it directly into the heart of the enemy fleet. Admiral Marshall nodded slowly. We will find a way. How many ships can you upgrade? All of them, if we work around the clock. Then start now. While the scientists worked, Captain Derek Cole prepared his squadron for the first mission. He was a young man with a quick smile and steady hands. He had wanted to be a pilot since he was a child, and he was the best Earth had ever produced. His squadron was small, only 12 fighters. They called themselves the Blackhawks. Our mission is reconnaissance, Cole told his pilots. We fly out to meet the enemy fleet. We observe their formation, their numbers, their weapons. Then we come home and report. And if they see us? One pilot asked. Cole grinned. Then we show them how humans fly. On Earth, Sergeant Maria Delgado was organizing a different kind of force. She was a veteran of ground combat, a woman with scars on her arms and fire in her eyes. She knew that even if the fleet held the enemy in space, some aliens would reach the surface. Guerrilla warfare, she told her volunteers. We cannot match their technology in open battle. But in the cities, in the forests, in the mountains, we can hurt them. We know this land. They do not. Every building is a fortress. Every street is a trap. Our volunteers were not soldiers. They were teachers, farmers, mechanics, students. But they learned fast. They learned to shoot. They learned to hide. They learned to fight dirty. When they come, Delgado promised them, they will regret every step they take on our soil. 10 days passed. The alien fleet grew closer. Earth ships gathered in orbit, their new weapons gleaming. The world held its breath. Then a secret message arrived. It came from Ambassador Tylan of the Valari Collective. The empires are confident, she wrote. They expect you to surrender. They have never faced a species that fights without hope of victory. They do not understand humans. Use that against them. Dr. Linda Foster read the message and smiled sadly. She was back on Earth now, helping to coordinate the resistance. She had failed to save her world through diplomacy. Now she would try to save it through defiance. Send a reply, she told her assistant. Tell her thank you. And tell her to watch closely. She's about to see something the galaxy will never forget. On the final day before the deadline, Admiral Marshall stood on the bridge of his flagship. Outside the window, the stars were full of enemy ships. Thousands of them. Tens of thousands. An armada so vast it blocked out the light. The alien commander, Ulith Dron, sent one last message. Humans, your time is up. Surrender now, and we will be merciful. Marshall looked at the impossible odds. He thought about his family. He thought about his world. He thought about everything humanity had ever accomplished. Then he pressed the button to reply. This is Admiral Kevin Marshall of the Earth Defense Force. We have received your message. And this is our answer. He paused. We decline your offer. Come and take our world if you can. But know this. You will pay for every inch with blood. You will remember this day for the rest of your lives. And when you tell your children about the humans, you will tell them that we never knelt. He ended the transmission. Behind him, his officers stood taller. Around the fleet, crews prepared for battle. On Earth, 8 billion people looked up at the sky and waited. The war for Earth had begun. Commander Ulith Dron stood on the bridge of his massive flagship. He was a Dravok warrior, 7 feet tall with skin like polished obsidian. He had conquered 30 worlds and never tasted defeat. This mission, he believed, would be the easiest of his career. Begin the attack, he ordered calmly. Destroy their orbital stations first. Then their fleet. Then their cities. Leave enough alive to serve as slaves. His tactical officer nodded. The human fleet is assembled near their 4th planet. 212 ships, Commander. We have 47,000. Dron smiled. This will not even be a battle. It will be an execution. The alien armada moved forward like a great wave of death. Thousands of ships spread across the darkness, their weapons charging, their crews laughing at the tiny human force that dared to stand against them. Admiral Marshall watched them come. His hands were steady on the command console. His voice was calm as he gave orders. All ships, hold position. Do not fire until I give the command. Let them come to us. Sir, his tactical officer said nervously. They are within weapon range. I know. Wait. The alien ships came closer. Closer. Their weapons began to glow with deadly energy. Sir! Wait. The first alien shots were fired. Beams of plasma screamed toward the human fleet. Now, Marshall said. The hidden defense platforms activated. They had been floating dark and silent among the asteroids, invisible to alien sensors. Suddenly, the darkness lit up with pulse cannon fire. The first wave of alien ships exploded in balls of flame. Commander Dron stared at his screens in shock. What is this? Where did those weapons come from? Before anyone could answer, the human fleet charged forward. They moved in ways that seemed impossible, their small ships dancing between the larger alien vessels. Captain Derek Cole led the Blackhawks straight into the heart of the enemy formation. Break and scatter. Cole shouted to his squadron. Keep moving, keep shooting, never stop. The alien gunners tried to track them, but they were too slow. Human reflexes were faster. Human pilots were bolder. The Blackhawks tore through the enemy ranks, destroying ships 10 times their size. On his flagship, Dron watched in disbelief as his losses mounted. How are they doing this? They are supposed to be primitive. Commander, his tactical officer said, their weapons are cutting through our shields. Our sensors cannot track their smaller ships. They are adapting to our tactics faster than we can respond. Then adapt faster. Dron roared. We have 40,000 ships. They have 200. This cannot be possible. But it was possible. And it was happening. Dr. Grant's weapons worked even better than expected. The pulse cannons shattered alien shields like glass. The adaptive armor learned from every hit, becoming stronger with each impact. And the stealth systems let human ships appear and disappear like ghosts. The battle raged for 6 hours. When it finally paused, the alien fleet had lost over 3,000 ships. The humans had lost 40. Dron stared at the numbers. His hands were shaking. This was not supposed to happen. This could not be happening. He sent a message to High Chancellor Zorvath. We have encountered unexpected resistance. Request reinforcements. Zorvath's response was furious. You have 40,000 ships against 200, and you need reinforcements? Destroy them now. But destroying them was harder than anyone had imagined. While the space battle continued, the first alien ground forces reached Earth. They landed in North America, Europe, and Asia, expecting terrified civilians to surrender immediately. They found Sergeant Maria Delgado waiting for them. Let them spread out, she told her resistance fighters through their hidden radio network. Let them think they have won. Then we hit them from everywhere at once. The aliens marched through empty streets. The city seemed abandoned. They reported easy progress to their commanders. Then the buildings exploded. Delgado's people had spent weeks preparing traps. Bombs in basements. Snipers on rooftops. Tunnels connecting every block. The aliens walked into a nightmare. Fall back. One alien commander screamed. They are everywhere. But there was nowhere to fall back to. Every street was a kill zone. Every shadow held a fighter. The aliens had better weapons, better armor, better technology. But they did not know the land. They did not know the buildings. And they had never faced an enemy that fought with such desperate fury. In one destroyed neighborhood, an alien soldier cornered a human woman and her 2 children. He raised his weapon to capture them. A brick hit him in the head. He turned to see a teenage boy standing in the rubble, already throwing another brick. Behind the boy, more humans appeared. Old men with pipes, women with kitchen knives, children with rocks. The alien tried to run. He did not make it far. News of the resistance spread across the planet. People who had been hiding came out to fight. People who had been afraid found their courage. The aliens had expected to conquer a helpless world. Instead, they had awakened a hornet's nest. In space, Commander Dron finally received reinforcements. 10,000 more ships from the other empires. Surely now they would crush the humans. But Admiral Marshall had a surprise waiting. Activate the imp weapons, he ordered. Pulses of electromagnetic energy swept through the alien fleet. Ships went dark. Weapons stopped working. Navigation systems failed. Thousands of alien vessels drifted helplessly, their crews screaming in confusion. Captain Cole and the Blackhawks swept through the disabled ships like wolves among sheep. This is too easy. One of his pilots laughed. Don't get cocky, Cole replied, destroying another enemy cruiser. They will adapt. They always do. He was right. Within hours, the aliens had adjusted their shields to block the impulses. But those hours had cost them dearly. 8,000 more ships destroyed. Dozens of commanders killed. The unbeatable armada was bleeding. Ambassador Tylan watched the battle reports from her ship, far from the fighting. Her 4 eyes were wide with amazement. They are doing it, she whispered. The humans are actually doing it. She sent a secret message to Dr. Linda Foster on Earth. Other empires are watching. They are afraid. If you can hold on a little longer, the alliance may fracture. Foster received the message in her underground bunker. Outside, she could hear explosions as the resistance fought off another alien assault. She was exhausted, covered in dust, and had not slept in 3 days. but she smiled. "Tell them to keep watching," she replied. "We are just getting started." In orbit, Admiral Marshall looked at the enemy fleet. It was still vast, still dangerous, still capable of destroying Earth, but it was smaller than before, and growing smaller every hour. "Phase 2, he said quietly. "It is time to show them what humans can really do." Behind him, the fleet prepared for the next assault. Below, the resistance kept fighting. And across the galaxy, every species that had ever been conquered by the empires watched with growing hope that the humans were not just fighting, the humans were winning. High Chancellor Zorvith had stopped celebrating. He sat alone in his throne room, staring at battle reports that grew worse every hour. The easy conquest had become a nightmare. Thousands of ships lost, millions of soldiers dead or captured, and still the humans fought. "This is impossible," he muttered to himself. "They are primitives. They should have surrendered weeks ago." But the humans did not surrender. They never even considered it. Admiral Marshall launched Phase 2 of the attack. Small stealth ships slipped through the chaos of battle, carrying special teams with one mission: destroy the enemy command vessels. General Patricia Vance led the first team personally. She was too old for this kind of mission, her officers said. She should stay behind and command from safety. "I have never asked my soldiers to do something I would not do myself," she replied. "And I will not start now." Her shuttle landed on the Korath flagship while the battle raged outside. The alien crew never saw them coming. Vance and her team moved through the ship like shadows, placing explosives at critical points. When they reached the bridge, the Korath commander was screaming orders at his crew, trying to coordinate the failing attack. "Excuse me," Vance said politely. The commander turned. His eyes went wide with shock. "Earth sends its regards," Vance said. Then she shot him. 15 minutes later, the Korath flagship exploded. 2 hours after that, the Selvian command vessel met the same fate. By the end of the day, 3 of the 12 Empire flagships had been destroyed. The alliance began to crack. "We are leaving," announced the Mentari Hive leader. "This war is costing us too much. The humans can have their planet. We want nothing more to do with them. Coward." Zorvith screamed through the communication channel. "We agreed to fight together. We agreed to conquer a primitive world," the Mentari replied. "Not to throw away our fleet against demons who do not know how to die. Find someone else to fight your war." The Mentari ships turned and left. A few hours later, the Velari Collective officially withdrew from the Conclave and offered humanitarian aid to Earth. "We should have listened to Ambassador Tylan," one Velari officer said. "She warned us about the humans. We did not believe her." On Earth, Captain Derek Cole was no longer flying. His fighter had been shot down over the Pacific Ocean. He had survived the crash, swimming for hours until a rescue boat found him. Now he was on the ground, helping Sergeant Delgado coordinate the resistance. "You are a pilot," Delgado said. "What do you know about ground fighting?" Cole smiled through his bruises. "Not much, but I know about not giving up. And I know about making the enemy regret every choice they have ever made." Delgado laughed. It was the first time she had laughed in weeks. "Okay, Flyboy. Welcome to the real war." Together, they led an assault on an alien supply base outside of Houston. The aliens had built it quickly, expecting to use it as a center for slave operations. Instead, it became their tomb. The attack came at night. Cole led a team through the sewers, while Delgado created a distraction at the front gate. The aliens were confused, firing at shadows, unable to understand how the humans moved so quietly through their own territory. "This is our home," Cole whispered to his team as they planted charges. They forgot that. Big mistake. The supply base burned for 3 days. Enough weapons to arm 10,000 soldiers went up in smoke. The aliens on the ground were running out of supplies, running out of reinforcements, running out of hope, but Zorvith refused to give up. He traveled to the front lines personally, taking command of the remaining fleet. If his commanders could not win this war, he would win it himself. "Forget surgical strikes," he ordered. "Forget capturing slaves. We will burn their planet to ash. Every city, every town, every village. If we cannot have Earth, no one will." His officers hesitated. "Chancellor, the other empires will not approve. If we commit total genocide, we will become outcasts." "The other empires are cowards and fools," Zorvith snarled. "I will deal with them later. First, we destroy the humans. All of them. Begin orbital bombardment." The order went out. Alien ships moved into position, their massive guns pointed at Earth's surface. In cities around the world, people looked up at the sky and saw death approaching. But Admiral Marshall had one more card to play. "Dr. Grant," he said through the communication channel, "is the Blackout protocol ready?" "Yes," Grant replied. "But someone needs to deliver it directly to the center of the enemy fleet. The range is limited. If we launch it from here, it will not reach far enough." "I know." Marshall stood up from his command chair. "Prepare my shuttle." "Admiral, that is suicide. You will never make it through their defenses." "Maybe not, but I have to try. If that bombardment begins, millions will die. I will not let that happen. Not while I am still breathing." General Vance tried to stop him. Captain Cole, recovered enough to fly again, volunteered to go instead. Every officer on the fleet begged him to send someone else. Marshall refused them all. "I have lived a good life," he said quietly. "I have seen my children grow. I have helped my grandchildren. If I die today, I die protecting everything I love. There is no better way to go." He boarded his shuttle alone. It was a small ship, fast and agile, equipped with the best stealth technology Dr. Grant could build. The Blackout protocol device sat in the cargo hold, humming softly. "Earth Command, this is Marshall," he said as he launched. "Whatever happens next, remember what we fought for. Remember why we did not kneel. And if I do not return, tell my family I love them." Then he flew into the heart of the enemy fleet. The aliens saw him coming. They fired everything they had. Plasma beams, missiles, laser cannons. The space around Marshall's shuttle became a wall of death, but he kept flying, spinning, dodging, dancing, through the fire like he had done 1,000 times before. "All ships, cover the Admiral," Cole shouted, leading the Blackhawks in a desperate charge. "Give him a path." The human fleet threw themselves at the enemy, creating chaos, drawing fire away from Marshall's shuttle. Ships exploded. Pilots died. But they kept the enemy distracted long enough. Marshall reached the center of the enemy formation. Zorvath's flagship was directly ahead, its guns warming up for the planetary bombardment. "This is for Earth," Marshall said. He activated the Blackout protocol. A wave of energy exploded outward, invisible but unstoppable. It swept through the alien fleet like a silent hurricane. Every ship it touched went dark. Engines died. Weapons failed. Life support systems flickered and stopped. 40,000 ships fell silent in an instant. Zorvith stood frozen on his bridge, surrounded by darkness. Emergency lights flickered weakly. His officers screamed in panic. What happened? He demanded. What did they do? No one could answer. No one knew. The mighty Dravok Chancellor, conqueror of worlds, stood helpless in the void while his entire fleet drifted dead around him. And in the distance, human ships began to move forward, their weapons still working, their crews ready to finish what they had started. The tide had turned. The silence was deafening. Across the solar system, 40,000 alien warships drifted in the darkness, their systems dead, their crews trapped. The greatest armada ever assembled had been reduced to floating metal tombs. Admiral Kevin Marshall floated in his shuttle, unconscious. The Blackout protocol had taken everything his ship had to deliver. But he was alive. Somehow, against all odds, he was alive. Captain Derek Cole found him 3 hours later. The Blackhawks had swept through the disabled enemy fleet, and Cole had personally searched for the Admiral's shuttle among the wreckage. "I found him!" Cole shouted over the radio. "He is alive. Get a medical team here now." The news spread across the fleet, then to Earth, then to the entire galaxy. Admiral Marshall, the man who had saved humanity, had survived his suicide mission. But the battle was not over yet. Human boarding parties moved through the disabled alien ships, capturing crews and commanders. Most of the aliens surrendered without fighting. Their weapons did not work. Their communications were dead. They were helpless, and they knew it. High Chancellor Zorvith was found on his flagship, sitting in the darkness of his bridge. When the human soldiers broke through the door, he did not move. He simply stared at them with his burning red eyes, his face twisted with disbelief. "This is impossible," he whispered. "You are primitives. You should not exist." "And yet here we are," said General Patricia Vance, stepping through the door. "High Chancellor Zorvith, by the authority of Earth's united government, you are under arrest for crimes against humanity." Zorvith laughed bitterly. "Crimes? I was bringing order to your savage world. I was giving your people purpose." "You were going to enslave us," Vance replied calmly. "You were going to burn our cities and kill our children. That is not order. That is tyranny." She nodded to her soldiers. "Take him." As they dragged him away, Zorvith screamed threats and curses. But no one listened anymore. His power was gone. His fleet was captured. His empire was broken. On Earth, the last alien ground forces surrendered. Sergeant Maria Delgado accepted their weapons personally, standing in the ruins of New York City. Behind her, thousands of resistance fighters watched in silence. "It is over," she said simply. "We won." The cheering lasted for hours. 1 year passed. The Galactic Conclave met again on Vethra Prime. But this time, the chamber looked very different. The 12 thrones were still there, but one of them was empty. The Drevevok Empire had collapsed after Zorveth's capture, torn apart by civil war and rebellion. And in the center of the chamber, where Dr. Linda Foster had once stood alone and afraid, a new throne had been built. It was smaller than the others, simpler, made of plain steel and leather. It was Earth's throne. Dr. Foster sat in it now, older and more tired than before, but with steel in her eyes. Behind her stood Admiral Marshall, recovered from his injuries, and General Vance, and Captain Cole, and Sergeant Delgado, and Dr. Grant, the heroes of Earth, standing together before the galaxy. The remaining Empire leaders watched nervously. They had seen what humans could do. They had learned to fear that small blue planet at the edge of the galaxy. 1 year ago, Foster began, "You voted to enslave my world." 11 empires chose to treat 8 billion people as property, as cattle, as things to be bought and sold. She let the words hang in the air. Today, I could propose revenge. I could call for sanctions, for reparations, for military action against your worlds. Earth's fleet is small, but as you have learned, size is not everything. We could make you suffer as you tried to make us suffer. The alien leaders shifted uncomfortably. Some of them looked ready to run. "But that is not why we are here," Foster continued. "We did not fight this war because we wanted power. We fought because we wanted freedom. We fought because every living being deserves the right to choose their own destiny." She stood up from her throne. "Earth does not want revenge. Earth wants peace. but not the false peace of slaves and masters. Real peace. Equal peace. Peace where every species, no matter how strong or weak, has the same rights and the same protections. She pulled out a document and held it up for everyone to see. This is the new Conclave Charter. It forbids slavery in any form. It requires unanimous consent for military action against any member world. It creates a council where every species has one vote, from the mightiest empire to the smallest colony. The alien leaders stared at her in shock. You would share power with us? One of them asked. After what we tried to do to you? Yes, Foster said. Because that is what separates us from you. You saw weakness and tried to exploit it. We see defeated enemies and offer them a chance to be better. She looked directly at the Dravok representative, a young commander who had taken power after Zorvath's fall. The question is simple. Will you take that chance? Or will you keep living in a galaxy where the strong devour the weak, where fear is the only law, where your children will never know true peace? Silence filled the chamber. Then Ambassador Tylan of the Valari Collective stood up. Her 4 eyes were shining with something that might have been tears. The Valari accept the new charter, she said, and we thank the humans for showing us a better way. One by one, the other empires followed. Even the Dravok representative, after a long hesitation, nodded his agreement. The new Conclave Charter is accepted, Foster announced. From this day forward, no species will be enslaved. No world will be conquered. And if anyone tries to return to the old ways, she smiled grimly, they will answer to Earth. Later that night, Admiral Marshall stood alone on the observation deck of the human transport ship. The stars stretched out before him, endless and beautiful. Somewhere out there, his fleet was patrolling the new borders of peace. Somewhere out there, his grandchildren were growing up in a galaxy that no longer saw them as slaves. Dr. Foster joined him at the window. You are quiet, she said. Just thinking, Marshall replied. A year ago, they voted to enslave us. They thought we were nothing. They thought we would kneel. And now? Now they beg for mercy. And we give it to them. He shook his head slowly. I still cannot quite believe it. Foster smiled. That is the human story, Admiral. We are always underestimated. We are always written off. And we always surprise everyone, including ourselves. She looked out at the stars. They wanted to teach us our place in the galaxy. Instead, we taught them theirs. Marshall nodded. Then he laughed, a deep, tired laugh that carried all the weight of the past year. So what happens now? Now? Foster turned to face him. Now we build something new. Something better. A galaxy where species help each other instead of conquering each other. It will not be easy. It will take generations. But we took the first step today. She placed her hand on his shoulder. We showed them what humanity is made of. Not just our strength, not just our weapons, but our mercy. Our hope. Our refusal to become the monsters we defeated. Outside the window, the stars seemed brighter than before. They voted to enslave Earth, Foster said quietly. Now they will learn what freedom really means. And somewhere in the darkness of space, watching from a distance, Ambassador Tylan smiled. She had always believed in the humans. She had always known they were special, but even she had never imagined they would change the galaxy.